Hi, I'm Margaret. I'm blind. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be yapping, or we. I always say we like I'm more than one person here. It's just me. I like using the royal we, hence her royal sightless. Can you tell I'm a little obsessed with myself? I put up a poll asking people if they wanted to hear about the weirdest things people have said to me since losing my vision, or if they wanted to hear about how my dreams work and what the weirdest dreams I've had are. And the dreams won out. So, how my dreams work as a blind person. If you didn't already know, blindness is a spectrum contrary to popular belief. I have a tiny bit of remaining vision in my left eye. It's not a ton though. It's very vague shapes and colors. It's really, really blurry. I don't have depth perception. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, there are things I can do to try and maximize that tiny bit of remaining vision I have left, but it takes a lot and it's a lot of strain. So that's one thing you have to factor in with my dreams. The other thing that has to be factored in is I wasn't born blind. I lost most of my vision when I was 16. If you want to hear the whole story about that and more nitty-gritty bits about my remaining vision and blindness being a spectrum and blah, 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 blah. If you want to hear me yap some more about that, I have a Q&A with frequently asked questions I've gotten as a blind person. It's also Get Ready With Me. I already posted that. It's a video before this one, but we're specifically here today to talk about my dreams. Not my hopes and aspirations, but like whatever the hell is going on inside my head when I go to sleep. So with all that preamble in mind, to answer the question I get so frequently about my dreams, yes, I can still see in my dreams, but no, it is not what it used to be. Basically, whatever little I can see in my regular day-to-day life, that's how my dreams work as well. Everything is still super duper blurry, although dream me doesn't always register that, or dream me doesn't always register that as normal, which I will get to later. Most of the time, dream me, she does. So while the vision in my dreams is still pretty blurry, the rest of my senses make up for it, because like in my everyday life, I wouldn't necessarily say they've become stronger, because when I say that, people think my hearing and whatnot is superhuman. No, I've just learned how to hone in on it. My sense of hearing is probably the strongest sense in my dreams. Actually, last night, I had a very nonsensical dream. I actually don't remember most of the events of it, but for some odd reason, not for some odd reason, I know the exact reason, because I've been listening to this album on a loop. That entire dream was set to the backtrack of Slater's new album, Worst Girl in America. Brittany Murphy in particular was on a loop in that dream, just bass boosted, blasting. Yeah, honestly, when I woke up, I felt like my ears were ringing like I'd just been to a concert, but that might not even just be the dream. That might just be because sometimes when I'm listening to music on my headphones, I put up the volume so loud, I like turn it up so much that I get a warning. Probably a horrible idea for me to keep doing that, because not probably, it is most definitely a horrible idea for me to keep doing that, because I am already blind and I depend mostly on my hearing. So me absolutely destroying that, yeah, don't do that. Horrible, horrible idea. I never said I was a good example of a blind person. Okay, this is a do as I say, not as I do moment. What will you learn? That your actions have consequences! Moving on though. Another dream I had where my hearing was so intense, where it felt so real, was one I had a month ago now, and it still sticks in my head. Basically, I had a dream where I'd bought a haunted, decrepit monastery to renovate for a home renovation show that was also simultaneously a ghost hunting show. That's not the most interesting part though that sticks in my head. Like nothing like ooh ghost sounds or whatever. That really stuck in my head. The part that stuck in my head was I had two co-hosts, Trixie and Katya. It's no surprise that they showed up in a dream eventually, because I listen to The Bald and the Beautiful religiously, and sometimes I fall asleep to the very dulcet sounds of And welcome to And in this dream specifically, half the time they were not speaking in their normal voices. They were speaking with, Katya was speaking with that voice she was using in the John Waters episode from season 7, the one that goes, "Please Dawn, it's Christmas." I can't do it as well right now. I sound better doing that when I'm sick. "Please Dawn, but it's Christmas." And then Trixie was speaking in her, what's supposed to be her Swedish accent, the one that's like, "When I was hungry, I would go to my grandparents and I would say, 'May I please have bread?'"
When I was hungry, I would say to my grandparents, "May I please have bread?"
So imagine I had those two co-hosting my entire dream. Anyway, another example of my hearing in my dreams. This one I think is like the funniest just because of what happened afterward. This was years ago now, back in like 2019, 2020 when I was still single. That's an important piece of context. This was before I was with my partner. He and I were already friends. He knows about this. He also thinks this story is funny. If you didn't know, I am absolutely enamored, in love with Dimitri from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Although, at a time like this, perhaps it would make more sense for me to wish that we'll be together forever. What do you think?
Did you hear about the girl who lives in delusion?
I write fanfic about that man. I have an entire eat-a-bag dedicated to him. I have a figure over there on my shelf. You might see the bookshelves in the background. If you're wondering why I have books as a blind person, long story short, sentimentality. I also have a bunch of knickknacks on those shelves. I have a Dimitri figure over there. Here's the figure. Yeah, it's pre-time skip. There's probably a glare on the box. You probably can't see him properly, but I don't want to take him out of the box yet. And then, of course, the eat-a-bag that I have been decorating since the game released in 2019. I am so glad that with what little vision I have left, I was actually able to play Three Houses. Big Fire Emblem fan. Before I lost my vision, after I lost my vision. My point is, I love Dimitri, okay? And one time, back in like 2019, or probably 2020, it was probably during the pandemic, because I was peak Delulu during the pandemic, I had a dream that was the S support scene. If you don't know what an S support is in Fire Emblem, it is a tactical RPG, right? But it's also low-key a dating sim, and the S support is when you get basically to the level of marriage with a character. So it was the scene where Byleth and Dimitri are proposing to one another.
Thank you, my beloved. Your kind, warm hands. May they cling to my own forevermore.
And it was first person. I have played that scene so many times over. I played the game so many times over. I have hundreds of hours in that game. And rather than view the support conversation as you would in real life while you're playing the game from third person, like you'd see the two characters facing each other, it was first person, okay? I was in Violet's place.
Hi, editing Margaret here. I don't think I explained that very well. What I meant by viewing it from a first person perspective, obviously, again, what little vision I do have in my dreams works the same way as my everyday life, so still very blurry. It's not like I could actually see much, but first person perspective, what I meant was it wasn't like I was just playing the scene from the game, like I wasn't just playing it on my Switch again or on my phone or something and I just had like the conversation memorized. No, it was like I was in the conversation, like Dimitri was talking to me and I could hear myself responding. God, I sound absolutely bonkers trying to explain this.
Yes, call me Delulu all you want. I know I am. I know. Yeah, I had such an intense dream, first person POV of the S support conversation in Three Houses that when I woke up, I was crying.
Girl who lives in delusion.
It wouldn't be the first time I cried over a fictional character, nor would it be the last, but just how real that felt, I was like, girl, I'm ready to reality shift into Three Houses. I'm ready to reality shift into this game about war that I probably would not actually be able to survive if I got isekai'd. So it's always funny to me when I meet sighted people and I tell them how my dreams work and they feel kind of sad about the fact that I can't really see in my dreams anymore, or everything's just one amorphous blob, a blur. Because the rest of my dreams are so intense that, yeah, sometimes they do elicit a reaction where I wake up and start crying because they're not real. Aside from my hearing, my next strongest sense in my dreams is probably my sense of smell. Just because, oops, I did not mean to nudge my phone like that. My next strongest sense in my dreams is probably my sense of smell, just because I've had so many dreams before where I've had such an intense hankering for a specific food that I can actually smell it in my dreams. The best example of this is probably chocolate chip muffins or chocolate chip cookies, just because that's one of my favorite scents. On a more horrifying note, sometimes I can actually smell blood in my dreams, like I actually smell the iron in it. Thankfully, it's never been a case of someone is actually bleeding IRL, and then I wake up and realize, oh wait, that's the reason I smelt it. It's just more so a case of my subconscious has that embedded in my memory and decides to chuck it at me. Whoops! I dropped my pusheen! On the note of nightmares though, I still have them as a blind person, even though I can't see in them. They are still as, if not more, terrifying. The best example of this being, I have sleep paralysis sometimes, and I know not everyone can see in their dreams when they have sleep paralysis. Like sometimes your eyes will just be shut and you don't feel like you can open them. I've heard people talk about that, and you just feel a presence. I've had situations before where in my dreams, in my sleep paralysis nightmares, this weird thing happens. I've mentioned before, my left eye has the remaining functioning vision. My right eye is close to totally blind. It's just a tiny peripheral spot where I can see movement and light and shadow. So the weird thing that happens in my sleep paralysis nightmares is it flips. It's probably like the synapses in my brain misfiring or something. Suddenly it's my left eye that's close to totally blind, and then my right eye, I can see out of it. And that's when I become dimly aware of the fact that I'm in a sleep paralysis nightmare. Also, I can't move. Is there anything I can actually see in my dream? Like, is there a figure or anything? No. It's usually just, for some reason, my brain is aware of the fact that my vision is not working the way it usually does when I'm awake. The other scary thing about being blind and having nightmares is you can't just easily wake up and look around your room and see if everything's normal, obviously, because don't have enough vision for that. And there have been times where I wake up and I feel like everything's normal, like things sound normal, but then it turns out I'm still in the nightmare. The best example of this one actually like freaks me out so much to talk about. One time I was sleeping next to my partner and I could hear him crystal clear as day, his voice saying, "Watch out." Now, he was already asleep. This man does not talk in his sleep. This man barely makes noise in his sleep. Maybe he'll snore when he's sick or when he's like really exhausted. So that, that freaked me out. And then I went back to sleep. And then I woke up later that evening feeling something crawling over me. Not a bug or anything, but something humanoid. And to make it worse, I could still feel my partner sleeping next to me because he's bigger than I am. And also I could still hear him breathing next to me. So whatever the hell that was in my dream, oh my god. I was eventually able to convince Dream Me to move her limbs and then wake up. And then I fell back asleep again. But the kicker was, it happened again where I thought everything was normal. I could hear him sleeping next to me and everything, and I could feel him sleeping next to me. But then I felt the presence again. And I was stuck in a loop like that for God knows how long. It was the worst. I'm thankful it hasn't happened since, knock on wood. Like, okay? Making the sign of the cross.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Anyways, when I finally woke up, the only reason I knew I was actually fully awake and no longer trapped in that horrible nightmare loop was because I could hear someone vacuuming in the living room very loudly. And thank God for Asian dads and their tendency to vacuum so early in the morning. Seriously. I'm getting sweaty talking about this. Oh my god. On a more regular note, leaving behind the horror movie nightmares and going more so toward my regular nightmares that are just traumatic memories. Woo, fun. One recurring one I have that is actually related to my blindness. So when I lost my vision when I was 16, it happened on the first day of grade 11 without any warning. I woke up for school. I realized that my vision was totally different from where it was the night before. But I still went to school thinking that it would clear up throughout the day because it was really, really blurry, but I was hoping, maybe something's a little off, it'll clear up. It didn't. Luckily, all my teachers and my friends believed me and they were fine helping me throughout the day. And then the following day we were able to get it diagnosed and everything, and I was able to get my accommodations that week at school. But in this recurring nightmare I have, it is the first day of grade 11 again. I wake up, I go to school, realize I can't see shit. I don't know where I'm going. I can't read classroom numbers. I can't read the number on my locker. I can't read my schedule. I'm panicking in class, trying to write things down, but nothing is showing up. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Essentially, my vision is doing what it normally does now, but in that dream, I'm just not registering it as normal because in that dream, I'm still 16. Now, in this nightmare, what makes it so scary is not the actual event repeating itself, but unlike what happened in real life, in the nightmare, no one believes me, and I have a mental breakdown, full-blown mentee bee, trying to explain it to people, and no one's believing me, calling me a liar or like an attention seeker, and then I wake up crying. well, I don't always wake up crying. 50% of the time, I actually remember that this is just a warped memory and that I'm not 16 anymore, I'm 26, and then all is dandy. And I wake up totally fine. But, yeah.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
In summary, that's how my dreams work as a blind person. Yes, I can still see in them because blindness is a spectrum, but no, I can't see in them to the full extent that I used to be able to when I was fully sighted, just because my visual memory has gone, or for the most part, not all of it, but a lot of it is gone. So I really can't remember what being fully sighted is like anymore. That is all for today. Till next time, later, bye!